Good afternoon everyone and welcome to the Formula Challenge from Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit in the United Arab Emirates. Of course, the championship here has already been wrapped up by a certain Maciej Winnick, just sitting in his garage waiting for, well actually the session's already started now, we've got a few people already on the track. I believe Pedro Gomez was the, oh no, he wasn't quite the first person out, but there are a few people out on track nonetheless. One interesting stat that is definitely notable today is that if Maciej Winnick scores 33 more points, then he will have equalled James Johnson's points record for the Formula Challenge. And of course, with a maximum of 50 points up for grabs here this weekend, that's not looking unlikely. So definitely keep your eyes on Maciej Winnick this weekend. I'm just trying to work out who's the first person out on track that we should be watching for a qualifying session. Is that David Yunt, possibly? I'm not entirely sure. I'm struggling to find people on the order. But anyway, a couple of people out on track already. This is the qualifying session, 15 minutes of it. Of course, it's fastest lap gets first place on the grid, second fastest lap, second, so forth. And of course, this does have a big effect on the actual race order, because it's always very good to get a high position in qualifying, just so you get that advantage at the start. Track position, they call it, so you won't have to lose time battling through cars to get to the front. And that's why the drivers push harder in qualifying than they push in the race a lot of the time. They can properly put down the quick laps here with whatever setup they choose. In the race, of course, they have to have many litres of fuel and to last the full race distance and etc. But this is qualifying, so this is the fastest you'll see them go this in this entire event. So sit back and enjoy. Now I'm just trying to get up the live timing thing. I'm typing all the wrong buttons. That's why I'm not really concentrating much at the moment. Anyway, onto a lap at the moment has gone Bastian Paisler's on a lap, as is Roy Schroten, Matthew Marquardt, Menno Clont, several people. Roy Schroten's a good one to watch. He's one of the quick guys in the championship. Of course, second in the championship at the moment. The championship has already been wrapped up, so the closest battle is now for second between oh no, that's been wrapped up, hasn't it? So Roy Schroten has already sealed second place. What's the next? Oh wow, so third place has been wrapped up as well. Menno Clont is not getting it David Yunt, not even mathematically possible. It's got to be Chris Shepherd and Menno Clont for fourth. Of course, Chris Shepherd hasn't done every race of this year. He missed Spa, and he actually missed Mexico and Brazil as well, and he's not here either. So Chris Shepherd not going to move any further up the order there. Who is it? It'll be for sixth actually, between it's the teammates Roy Vazil and Terence Gresh. So the teammates Roy Vazil and Terence Gresh are the two topmost drivers battling for championship position. So realistically, the first position. Oh, big crash for Roy Schroten there. Didn't entirely see how that happened, but certainly his first qualifying lap. Oh, I'm just seeing it on the live stream actually. He's just misjudged the exit of the corner and clipped the wall, and that's really thrown a lot of the rear end of the car off. Big accident for Roy Schroten there. Looks as if he was trying to get the car going again, but that wasn't going to work. Anyway, the initial fastest time has been set by Menno Clont in the Stax racing car, followed by the two drivers battling for sixth in the championship, Terence Gresh and Roy Vazil, in that order. What's that team again? Their name escapes me. I'm going to search that up quickly. I'm terrible with memorising team names like that. It's TR Motorsports, Blue Voss TR Motorsports. So those two fighting for sixth in the championship. Maciej Winnick, champion. Well, our 2017 champion, starts off his weekend in a good way by sticking it at the top of the order. So a good a good opening performance from Maciej Winnick, and that has got his Tuesday off to a very good start. Actually, 7/10 of a second faster than Menno Klont's fastest lap. That is a very, very good start from Maciej Winnick there. Fantastic. Oh dear, I'm really struggling with this live timing thing. I don't know what buttons I'm clicking. Oh well. What if I... Okay, I think I've just typed the right thing. Whatever the case. So the order still Winnick, Klont, Lindberg, Gresh, and Vasil. Those are the top 5. Ooh. Oh no, that was just someone getting out of the way. I thought there was a car in the wall or something, but no, that's... Of course, Roy Schroten's qualifying session isn't completely open, despite the fact we saw him having that accident. Despite the fact we saw him having that accident earlier, because it is a sim race, so you can retry and you can teleport back to the pits as we saw him doing, and give it another go. 27 cars in the session, I should point out. This is a very, very big entry list. Thomas Adrian Maharasoa just moved up to 10th with that lap. That was quite a good lap from him there. Right, who's on a lap? Oh, Pedro Gomez, purple in sector 2. Watch Pedro Gomez now. He's on a very, very quick lap. Just coming through. Where is that? He's going to be... So he's in the final sector. That will be... Oh, that's the many apex right-hander just before they go under the left-hander in under the hotel. And now here's the corner where we saw his teammate Roy Schroten getting it completely wrong, but runs it out to the exit just enough and keeps it all in one piece. Doesn't go over the track on the exit of the next corner. That's what you're that's what you're supposed to do, not run over it, because you can get pinged for track limits. Second, only just second, 0.032 behind Maciej Winnick, but that's not final. Of course, there is still time to improve and time to go faster, and that is, of course, what he'll be trying to do. So it's still Winnick, Gomez, Peisler, Klont, and now Johan Lindberg up the front of the order. Lindberg overdue some good luck, so... Right, keeping an eye on the timing sheet. Fastest sector 1 now for Pedro Gomez. So Gomez still pushing for it, as I said he would. He's actually getting a good tow now off Matthew Marquard's car. And if Marquard doesn't hold him up too much, if Gomez does catch up, then this could be this could be very advantageous for Pedro Gomez's lap. He's just coming to the end of Sector 2 now, so I'm going to see what his Sector 2's like. Roy Schroten's on a very good Sector 2 time as well. In fact, Schroten's close to the end of the lap, so I'm going to switch my view to Roy Schroten. I don't know about you. Both of the Thunderdogs on thundering laps. Pedro Gomez now quickest in Sector 2. I don't know where to look, so I'm gonna spectate Roy Schroten first because he's coming to the end of the lap, and then Pedro Gomez. Schroten actually has Tomio Cabra in the way at the moment, but gets out of the way, and fastest for Roy Schroten, but will that stick? Because his teammate now, Pedro Gomez, has got past Matthew Marquard, and he is coming through the final sector. And what will this lap be like for Pedro Gomez here through the final corner? Does he go over the line? No, he doesn't. That's good. Over the finish line now, and it is only second, so he dropped off a bit in that final sector. Now Roy Vasil has set an all-time... Oh, he spun it! Vasil just set a brilliant first sector, fastest of the session so far, and then spun it and ditched it into the wall, and I'm afraid that's that lap over from Roy Vasil with a missing front wing. That could have been really, really promising there from Roy Vasil. Unfortunately for him, he's thrown it away on that one. New personal best, rather, from David Yunt there, moves him up to 9th. Right, no one's going purple at the moment, of course. Now that purple, of course, meaning fastest of all, but no one's setting fastest times overall now with Roy Vigil's lap ending in the wall, of course. And I think he's realised now that he's missing a front wing because he's just gone straight on. Oh, big spin for... Was that... it was one of the... Okay, it wasn't David Yunt. It would have been Yunt's teammate, who is... what's his name? I'm having a forgetful day. Gonna check the order for that. It's Chris Butcher. Of course it's Chris Butcher. Apologies for that. So the order now is Schroten, Gomez, Winnick, Clont, and Peisler. That is the current order. So the two Thunderdogs at the top of the order. Good performance from both of them so far, Roy Schroten and Pedro Gomez. Macho Winnick in third, our champion, going for the all-time Formula Challenge points record, of course. As you see, quite a few people pulling into the pits now, possibly just setting themselves up for one last run, or maybe calling it a day, because after all, Schroten, Gomez, and Winnick's laps were very, very fast, and to be honest, any of those positions, should those positions stay, would be good for the race. Of course, they all want pole though. Pole is the plan for every driver, but of course, only an exclusive bunch of drivers do actually get pole position. Only one per race, in fact, as it happens. So of course, it'll be the fastest of the lot of them that gets it. Goes without saying, really. Terence Gresh is quite quick in the middle sector here. He's not far off the personal best second sector. Let's see what he does in the third, as he runs it through the final corner now. Puts just the right amount of power on. Where's this lap going to put him? 7th. So he moves ahead of Johan Lindberg now. Lindberg down to 8th. Gresh up to 7th. Mark Breslin also on a quick middle sector. He's coming through the final corner now. Where's that going to put him? No, he doesn't go any quicker with that. It was looking promising until the final sector, I'm afraid. Quick middle sector from Tomio Cabra, rather, the new driver for Downforce Racing. Of course, Jake Sanson was expected to do that this round, and I'm surprised not to see him here, but Cabra with that lap moves up to 18th, not bad. And Bastian Peisler goes to the top, completely unnoticed. I didn't even... Yeah, his second sector was actually really slow. Look at slow compared to others of his group. Looking at the timesheet, but Peisler pulled a third sector out of nowhere, and I don't know where that came from, but a 153.104. That's incredible from Bastian Peisler. Peisler, of course, has been a very on and off driver this year. We haven't really seen him up the front much, but showed flashes of pace, especially at the last round, and now he's just stuck it on provisional pole. Of course, there's still time left, but any driver that isn't on track now will not set another lap, because time is definitely ticking down. Terence Gresh just went very fast in the first sector. His second sector was a bit off though, so I'm not convinced that it's going to be from him. Let's see. Oh, overcooked it on the race. No, I'm afraid this lap has just been pinned, so that won't be any quicker. Last chances actually now for drivers to improve. I'm going to keep spectating Gresh through the final corner just to check. Yeah, it doesn't go any faster as I thought. Rivers Gilles is going faster than his best. That's the other Blue Voss TR Motorsport car, the purple-nosed one, as opposed to the yellow-nosed teammate of Terence Gresh. Oh, and he's crashed in a similar way to Roy Schroten did. Just gets on the curb out of the tunnel, stuffs it into the barrier, and that is that attempt down the drain. Maciej Winnick is going purple in the first sector. Watch Maciej Winnick, because he has just set a personal and a session best first sector. So Winnick on a charge here. Of course, it's unusual seeing him starting anywhere lower than pole position, and that's where he's going for at the moment. He's 4th at the moment, so definitely lower than we'd expect him to be. tips it in nicely into the semi-first corner before the combination of right-hand apexes. What was his second sector like? It was not quick, so... And in fact, Menno Clont now has gone fastest in the first sector, so I'm going to watch Winnick's lap first. Pedro Gomez didn't go any quicker than his last lap, by the way, as he crossed the line. Winnick goes third, so he moves ahead of Pedro Gomez. Now I'm going to switch all my... Oh, Clont! Clont's pulled off. Clont was actually on a very quick lap though, the fastest overall, but he's just pulled off. So as Patrick Gerber moves up to 7th, so Clont not going any faster. Is anyone still on a lap? Bastian Peisler is. So Roy Schroten's just moved to the top. Schroten, while I wasn't looking, moved to the top of the order again, and possibly got pole late on in the session. Let's see what Bastian Peisler can do in the final sector. This is his last chance. He set a personal best second sector. Then again, his second sector from his first lap wasn't actually that quick compared to the others of his group. Let's see what this lap is. It's not quicker. So, with just one person left across the line, it is David Junt. Junt's quick, actually. So let's see what Junt does. Hold your breath, Roy Schroten. 10th. So Junt moves ahead of Gresh Ziobinski and Vizil. And Roy Schroten has a pole position here at Yas Marina. He's still on a lap, actually, but he doesn't need to set this one because he's on pole anyway. Does he go faster with this? No, he doesn't, but he didn't need to because he was he was fastest anyway. Spins it across the line deliberately in celebration because he knows that no one else is on the track. But yeah, Roy Vigil takes pole from Bastian Peisler, Maciej Winnick, Pedro Gomez, Johan Lindberg, Matthew Marquardt, Patrick Gerber, Matthew Klipp, Menno Clont, David Junt, Terence Gress, Matthias Ziobinski, Roy Vigil, and Thomas Andrea Maharasoa, Daniele Brambilla, Chris Butcher, Bruno Suso Ferreira, Conrad Barr, Tomio Cabra, Mark Breslin, Paul Joseph, Simon Frelick, Fabian Ruder, Brett Metcalf, Ryan Nash, Lucas Zimmerman, and Matthias Dubrowski, who didn't set a lap. So that is this order confirmed. A couple of people just making their way back to the grid, or back to the pits rather. But that will be the order. Now we're going to have, in a second, a quick 5-minute warm-up session just for the drivers to get used to driving the cars in their race setup and planning for their race setup. Because, of course, after the warm-up session, the setup you have then will be your setup for the race. You can't change it between the warm-up session and the race. That's called Parc Fermé rules. Parc Fermé regulations, rather. And that is why the warm-up session, although not imperative and doesn't have an impact on the race result directly, many drivers still prefer to do it anyway, as I always do when I'm racing. So that is the end of that qualifying session, but we still have a warm-up session followed by 2 races. Of course, the races are when you score the points. No points for qualifying like we see in a couple of series. It's all to do with the races, both of the races. And that is where the really important stuff will happen. And where Maciej Winnick, of course, I know I keep bringing this stat up, but could beat the all-time points record in Formula Challenge, currently held by James Johnson a couple of seasons ago, with Mad Cape Racing, of course. So out onto the track go some of the drivers for this this warm-up session through turns 1 and turn 2. Very, very fast first sector. A lot of drivers do like this first sector. It's not necessarily renowned as a driver's circuit, but the first sector, some drivers do certainly enjoy. I remember hearing an interview with Kimi Räikkönen when this circuit was originally built, where he said that the first sector was good. He then went on to say all sorts of rubbish about the final 2 sectors, but to be honest, from a driver's point of view, they aren't the most spectacular. From a spectator's point of view, though, they've definitely designed this track well. I mean, they've done it entirely with the thought of championship deciders in mind. And championship finales, rather. It's supposed to be one of the glamour circuits of the calendar, of any racing calendar that it happens to be added to. A bit like a modern version of the Monaco Grand Prix, of course, but without all the crashing. Turns 3 and 4 are, well, faster than turn 1. Turn 1 is a pretty much a 90-degree left-hander just to sort the field out initially, followed by turns 2, 3 and 4. Very fast sweeping corners at the start of the circuit, reminiscent of the first sector of Magny-Cours in France. Bruno Souza Ferreira, interestingly, has just said that he has a back of the grid penalty, so talking of Souza Ferreira, I didn't see him in the other sessions, did I? Was he in the other? That's fair. I think he must have been, because there are still 27 cars in this, so never mind me. Back to the track analysis. Turns 5 and 6 rather. One of the first chicanes, or proper chicanes, you'll see on the track. Heavy braking into that. Left and a right. Often where you see sort-outs on the first lap. Into turn 7, a very tight hairpin. And then down an extremely long straight, one of the longest you'll see on the calendar. Not quite to the length of the straight at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, but still very, very long. And you'll see a lot of slipstreaming today. Take my word on that. Then we have another left-right chicane, turns 8 and 9. And down through the kink at 10, which isn't really a corner at all, and a lot of people don't consider it a corner. Then another chicane at 11, 12 and 13. That's a bit of an uphill chicane. Not much elevation change on this circuit. We're very much at sea level, but slightly uphill in that chicane, and you can certainly feel it as a driver. Followed by a 90-degree left-hander at turn 14. Then we have the 3 right-hander apexes at 15, 16 and 17. Very difficult to get right, as they tighten as well. And then turns 18 and 19 are a left-hand section underneath the famous hotel bridge. Then we have a fast right-hander at turn 20, very easy to go over the track limits on the outside, followed by an acute angled right-hander at turn 21, and that is the final corner of the track that we've just seen Pedro Gomez going through then. Actually sets the only lap of the warm-up session so far. Not many people are setting laps yet. Of course, laps aren't essential in warm-up, because this is all about getting used to the track for one final time, and just sort of getting used to the setup of the car that you're going to use in race conditions. Of course, race setup very, very different to qualifying setup, so there is definitely a lot to change. Good evening to everyone in the YouTube chat as well. I'll be keeping an eye on it through this weekend. We've got David Carter tuning in, followed by CCL. Jeffrey 47. Is that Jeffrey Fournier? Are you Jeffrey Fournier? Jeffrey 47. And David Carter's just responding to me, saying his name. Fabian Ruder is in here as well, and also racing. Matthew Allington is just lurking, so so that's happening. Fabian Ruder, of course, won't be in the chat for long because he's actually got the race. Currently 9th in the warm-up session, just getting slipstreamed by Ryan Nash as they go down the very long back straight. We'll be seeing a lot of slipstreaming this weekend. Very long straight this is, and actually 2 long straights on this track as well, with the start-finish straight, which isn't the longest straight on the track, but it's certainly a very long straight. Eric Stanford, I believe, is also going to be racing this weekend. Of course, he didn't do qualifying, but he's turned up now. So Stanford will be racing from the back of the grid. Also tuning into the YouTube chat now, we have VBM and Mr. Coffolino with his complete Sandy. That's a Sunday you've written. Okay. Not quite the sandwich we had before, is it? Nothing like a complete sandwich. Good luck to Munich. Make history, says VBM. Indeed, he can make history today. The stat, remember, is 33 points that he needs to beat James Johnson's points record. And DF Racing 1 types, my guys not feeling confident, hoping for top 4 in constructors. Of course, DF Racing fielding... Oh, who are they fielding today? It's changed a couple of times this season, hasn't it? I'm just going to check that again. David Fidok, Red Arrows. That's why I was actually thinking of Downforce Racing because DF Downforce. So I for some reason I thought you were the team boss of Downforce, DF Racing or something like that. No, Red Arrow team boss. So, David Fidok. That's what DF stands for. I'm only just taking this in. I'm having a really dopey day today for some reason. David Fidok. Sorry about that. Of course, you're David Fidok. Right. Anyway, so we've had the call for the grid now. Roy Schroten, of course, lining up at the front of the order. I'll just run down through the order again. It will be Schroten, Peisler, Winnick, Gomez, Lindbergh, Marquardt, the 2 weighty F1 cars, of course. Definitely hoping for good results today. They haven't had many this season, and a lot of the time not through faults of their own. Patrick Gerber, Matthew Klipp, Menno Klont, David Yunt, Terence Gresh, looking for 6th in the championship today. Matthias Siabinski, Thomas Andrea Maharasert, Daniele Brambilla, Tomio Kerber, Paul Joseph, Roy Vigil, Chris Butcher, Fabian Ruder, Mark Breslin, Brett Metcalf, Bruno Souza Ferreira, Conrad Bart, Simon Frelick, Ryan Nash, Lucas Zimmerman, Matthias Dabrowski, and Eric Stanford bringing up the rear. So we're actually talking of bringing up the rear. He's actually not out of the pits. Neither is Lucas Zimmerman. So Zimmerman and Stanford obviously starting from the pit lane here for whatever reason. Oh, that'll be because they didn't do... I think for Stanford, that must be because he didn't do qualifying. Oh, he is talking about starting from the pit, so obviously he didn't just miss the time or anything. So, whatever the reason for that is, we have 2 drivers starting from the pit lane. Of course, Zimmerman's teammate starting right at the front of the order on the front row of the grid with Bastian Peisler in 2nd. Godona is in the chat as well now, as is Morten Wernerson. Sorry. Good afternoon to all of you. I think this might actually be the biggest YouTube chat I've had yet with the Formula Challenge. This will be because of the season finale status of the event, of course. Always nice to tune in for the final race of the championship, even if it's already been wrapped up, as it has been now, with Maciej Winnick actually wrapping it up several rounds ago in Mexico with the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Roy Schroten could have... well, he was the 2nd place driver in the championship, and he has wrapped that up, actually. So positions 1 to 5 in the championship are completely confirmed now. It's been very, very spread out at the front of the field this year, I must say. We've had... I mean, it hasn't really been the dominance that we've seen in other categories. Like, not every race, for example, was won by the same team or the same driver. But for Formula Challenge, Mathieu has definitely wrapped up quite a few of them. Looking at the order now, there's certainly, or looking at the standings now, there's certainly a lot more ones to his name than to any other driver. Anyway, here we are, lining up on the grid. The first few are in position. Zimmerman and Stamford are in position at the end of the pit lane. We're waiting for Mateusz Dabrowski to bring up the field. He will slot in now, and we're waiting for the lights. So I'm going to count through them. When they go out, the race will be underway. We've got 3, 4, 5. Oh, and we're underway! Slight creeping on the grid from a few guys at the back, but we are underway, and it is Roy Schroten who moves across to defend at the start of the race. Gomez goes to the inside of Paisler and almost gets second, but it is Gomez who leads. Bit of a sort out at the back. I don't think there was quite an accident yet. In fact, there has a few people spinning off further back. Brett Metcalf is... Oh, huge accident, in fact. Ryan Nash was very badly involved in that. Conrad Barr's off. Oh, Conrad Barr is off and over the barrier. That's a huge one. Shimon Frelich is in it. Thomas Andrea Maharasur has a missed rear wing and will probably be forced to retire. Oh, yeah, he's just realised he's had missing a rear wing now by spinning it round. Couple of other guys involved in it as well. There was another flipping car. But anyway, as they head down towards the second chicane on the lap, turns 8, 9 and 10, or 8 and 9 rather. Roy Schroten is leading from Bastian Paisler, Pedro Gomez, Matej Winnick, Matthew Marquardt, Klont, Gerber, Lindberg, Klipp and Yunt. So that is the order at the moment. Now, will Bastian Paisler be able to get into the slipstream of Roy Schroten? Actually pulled out of it slightly there and wasn't able to get any closer on that straight, so that's going to maintain it about half a second's gap. Did we just have some kind of incident further back? I heard some kind of crunch. Eric Stamford is moving very slowly. Something's definitely wrong with that car. Conrad Burr is actually almost made it back onto the track there. Oh, as Andrea Maharasur crashes again. He needs to be driving a lot slower than that with a missing rear wing. In fact, I'd advise, yeah, Eric Stamford's doing it perfectly there. Eric Stamford driving back as slow as he possibly can, trying not to pick up any unnecessary suspension damage. Anyway, up the front of the order, we're certainly not getting any closer, actually. Let's see if Paisler will be able to slipstream. He doesn't like the slipstream. I mean, we've seen him going down about 3 straights behind Schroten until this point. He's been very quick to pull out of the slipstream for some reason, and that's very unusual. I'm not entirely sure what the point of that is. Normally you're supposed to dislike running behind the car in front through the corners because it unsettles the area, but on a straight he should be getting right under the gearbox of Roy Schroten, and he hasn't quite been doing that. As we head out onto the back straight now, though, he is closer. He certainly gained through those corners there. He's closer than he was a lap ago, and let's see if he can get under the rear wing or past the rear wing of Roy Schroten's car as we head down into turn 8. He's poking to the outside. He's not going to be close enough there. Also look at Matthew Marquardt having a look at Matej Winnick to the inside. Not quite. Also Johan Lindberg and Patrick Gerber are side by side for 7th. Lindberg gets forced out to the outside. Gerber is going to get that, and Klipp's going to possibly come through as well. He'll be on the outside now, but up front, Winnick is under attack again from Marquardt, and now Klont as well. They almost went 3 wide. As Gerber does indeed get ahead of Lindberg. Oh, someone's gone off. Who's that? That's quite a high order car. No? Okay, I'm sure someone just ran off. Oh, it was Matej Winnick. He's lost 2 positions there. So Marquardt and Klont both went past Matej Winnick there. So an unusual mistake from Matej Winnick, but these things happen. Now, let's watch Paisler and Schroten as they head out onto the start-finish straight this time round. Will they be able to, or will Paisler be able to get into the slips? Slight lock-up from Roy Schroten there. Will Paisler be able to get under the rear wing? Look, he's pulling out. He's pulling out again. What is going on there? I'm very confused as to why Paisler is not attempting to get the slipstream off Roy Schroeten's car here. I'm just looking in the chat to see if anyone else has an explanation for that, but it doesn't look like it. Yeah, I'm just completely confused as to why he's not getting right under the slipstream of Roy Schroeten's car as we'd expect him to do. He's certainly trying to now, but down the front straight, never does. Oh, in fact, he's pulling out now as well. I mean, yeah, we're not trying to criticise Bastian Paisler's driving, of course. He's a very quick driver, as we saw by his second place in qualifying. Of course, he had provisional pole for a very long time. I'm just not seeing the kind of attack that I normally see from drivers in his position. I'll put it that way. Anyway, the gap has come out to pretty much as near as makes no difference now. 1 second down that straight. Schroeten looked like he was actually pulling away down that straight, so Paisler possibly got a bit of a bad exit to the previous corner. Bit of battling going on further down the order. That was the battle for 7th position I'm seeing. So Maciej Winnick has lost another position now to Patrick Gerber. Gerber has got past him for 6th. And it's Gerber, Winnick, Lindbergh, Klipp, Junt, Gresh, Vigil and Butcher all in that chain there. So, and actually Paul Joseph's not far off them either, but dropping back slightly. So very close there. And in fact, Paisler has actually caught up to Schroeten in the last sector of that lap. He's actually got it to under half a second now, so it could definitely be closing up for the lead. We've seen this a few times this season where a driver has kind of dropped back for a lap and then caught up for a lap and then dropped back and caught up again. And side by side further back is Terence Gresh and Roy Vigil and David Junt, in fact. So three drivers going side by side for 10th. Gresh is going to get the better of that battle into the chicane and actually holds up Vigil quite badly on the exit there by sliding wide slightly. But that's going the way of Terence Gresh so far. Lucas Zimmerman is missing. Where's he gone? Where? Oh, okay. He went invisible there. So something very weird happened to Lucas Zimmerman, and I'm afraid he is out of the race, as is Conrad Barr, who was actually quite quick in qualifying. So unfortunately there we've lost 2 drivers already. And I'm very surprised to see Eric Stanford and Thomas Andrea Maharisur left in the race. Normally, if you have an accident like that and you lose your rear wing, you're out. So I'm surprised to see them still in it, but they've definitely replaced their rear wings now, and they are back out on track as they're entitled to be. Now, gap for the lead, less than half a second, just as it was at the start of this lap. And normally, I'd say that would give them a good slipstreaming opportunity down the back straight, but that we've seen with Terence Gresh, slipstream doesn't really tend to work in with his car in this race. Apparently, Lucas Zimmerman disconnected, according to CCL in the chat, and that's exactly what I expected had happened. It certainly had all the marks of a disconnection. Whoa! Big crash further down the order. Maciej Winnick! Winnick is missing his rear wing. So our championship leader has been involved in an accident at the penultimate corner. I didn't see it happening live. I just saw the order further down going mad. Gresh and a couple of people are into the pits as well. Gresh and Patrick Gerber are also into the pits. So it looks like a 3-car accident. Well, 3 cars who have needed to pit anyway. And that is drama. Whoa! Whoa, I'm looking at the live stream now. It looks like Maciej Winnick has had a right rollover. So Patrick Gerber just overcooked it coming out of the tunnel. Winnick hit him all the way back there, spun the car around. Now what's going to happen? He's going to spin into the path of one of the YTF F1 cars. He's going to get completely picked up and then just carried around the corner. That is incredible. I don't think I've ever seen an accident like that in the Formula Challenge. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Oh, it wasn't the YTF F1 car. He got collected by... Is that Paul Joe? No, it's Oh, don't tell me that's Fabian Ruder. Is that Fabian Ruder involved? He was around that order. Anyways, Dabrowski and Breslin battle for 16th. I'm getting a bit carried away with the replay, but that was incredible. I mean, it would be totally scary if it happened in real life, but that might just be the weirdest accident I've ever seen in R-Factor 2, with Winnick being carried all the way down the straight, upside down, on his side. That car just wasn't stopped. He managed to... I've never seen something go on for that long before, but... my goodness. Anyway, onto the start-finish straight again. Go the leaders. Schroten and Peisler down into turn 1. And Peisler really slowed on that straight. It almost looked like he'd lifted off the throttle there. So Peisler's car obviously not good in a straight line for some reason. Possibly, I can't really explain it. He just doesn't get in the slipstream for some reason. And I know that he's probably a bit too far back for proper, very super effective slipstreaming now, but still, you can get a bit. But anyway, I'm sure we'll find out why that happened. Matthew Allington types that it was Matt Clipp who tipped him into a roll, and indeed it was. Looking back at it now, Clipp, of course, Fabian Ruder's teammate. I said it was possibly Ruder at the time. I wasn't sure. It was Matt Clipp. So, did Clipp hit on that lap? No, he didn't, because he's still running in 11th position. So Clipp, oh, crash further back. Ryan Nash tipped into a spin coming out of the hairpin. He was running in about 15th position, and he's now dropped to 18th. So out of the points now goes Ryan Nash in that instant, as Mark Breslin goes to the inside of Bruno Sousa Ferreira for the final points scoring position, and he makes that stick. So Breslin, oh, actually, Sousa Ferreira might come back at him on the exit here. He's got the slipstream, certainly. This is for the final points position in 15th position. And will Sousa Ferreira be able to get to the inside using the slipstream here? No, he's not going to be close enough. Oh, I tell you what, though, Breslin braked earlier than Sousa Ferreira did, though, and I was expecting Ferreira to slightly overlap him there, but that didn't happen quite. Slightly too far back after that. The order's getting a bit more spread out now. The order is up the front of the field anyway. Schroten, Peisler, Gomez, Marquardt, Klont, Lindberg, Butcher. Oh, actually, Butcher and Vasil side by side for 7th. So Vasil pops to the inside. Looks like he just got the better run out of the final corner. Didn't really use the slipstream much because he didn't need to. And he's gone through on the inside, but Butcher tips him off. Oh my word! And over and over goes Roy Vasil. That's a huge one. And hopefully no one else tangles up in him. Looks like everyone else can see him, but that's the dangerous bit when he rolls back onto the track. Also, does he realise he's missing his rear wing? That's another dangerous thing, because if you don't, you have lost a lot of rear downforce, and it can... Oh, he's retiring that car, I'm afraid. So Roy Vasil out of this race, and I'm afraid it just looks like Chris Butcher misjudged the distance between the front of his car and the rear of Vasil's, as we've seen a couple of times so far this year. And Vasil, of course, was battling for that 6th spot in the championship, so that's big. Talking of big, it's the battle for the lead now has closed up. Schroten actually getting a slight kick of oversteer, possibly out of the last hairpin, and also out of the chicane of turns 8 and 9 there. And Peisler was able to catch up to about 0.3 of a second away there. Actually, closer to 0.2 of a second away. So Peisler has launched a couple of attacks so far in this race. He's been biding his time, hasn't he? I mean, I'm slightly perplexed by some of the non-attacking driving we've seen from him so far today, but I'll leave that for now, as Breslin and Sousa Ferreira again go side by side, this time for 14th position, of course, with Roy Vigil's unfortunate accident, which I would say they are the race director is... Oh, big kick of oversteer from Mark Breslin, and he's spun it down into turn 17. Unfortunate there. He was fighting with Bruno Sousa Ferreira, and he's now lost another place to Brett Metcalf, who's moved up to the final points position in 15th. So Breslin just looked like he got the rear end unsettled through the through turn 16. Lost it into 17. Matthew Allington types, this might be a new record for most upside down cars in an FC race. Indeed it might be. We've seen 2 at the start. We've seen Macho Winnick move for the lead. Oh dear, no, too far back. That was just a kind of, can I launch it now or will I not, from Bastian Paisler there. That wasn't going to quite pay off, but he's certainly going on the attack now as they head down into turns 11, 12 and 13. He's going to be too far back this time round as well. It takes a real skill from a driver to work out when they're close enough and when they're not. And Paisler, of course, has that, as do most of the front-running drivers. And he knew that he wasn't going to be able to launch it from back there, but he's certainly very close. The last sector time indicated 0.2 of a second between them, as it did last lap. Anyway, back to Matthew Allington's point. We have had about, I think it is 4 now. Four cars we've seen flipping over in this race so far. To be honest, I was expecting quite a clean one from Abu Dhabi, because Abu Dhabi isn't normally a track you associate with huge accidents. De Lucas, who I presume is Lucas Zimmerman, types, my internet was normal the whole time. Stupid disconnect. Yeah, very unfortunate to hear that, Lucas. We've seen it a couple of times, but it's always bad when it happens to a driver. So, I feel your pain there. Patrick Gerber is out of the race now, and Menno Klont has just been through the pits. So Klont has just been through the pits. We normally see about 1 pit stop in these Formula Challenge races. Some people, I believe we've seen some races where a driver's gone all the way to the end. But anyway, Klont pitting on that last lap there. Out of the chicane. He was the first of the... Definitely the first of the pit stops that looked scheduled, and I tell you what, he really didn't lose that much time from that. He's still kept 6th position, so that shows what kind of a gap Klont actually pulled from his opponents there. Now watch the leaders again, because they just, you never know when the attack's going to come, because they're always so close. I don't believe they've actually been quite over a second in gap yet this race. But there hasn't been any attack yet, or not. I mean, there's been a couple of moments where they've gone very nearly side by side, but no proper attack yet. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, but it's often hard to tell when an attack's going to come. Matthew Allington types, it's Super Cup where they may or may not pit. Depending if it's race 1 or race 2. We have seen a couple of pit stops in Formula Challenge. I mean, there are some races where a driver has gone in saying, "I'm going to make a stop in this race. That's just my strategy." And it's never. I don't think any of the people who have won a race yet this season have actually made a pit stop. But I didn't see any damage on Menno Klont's car when he came into the pits. So I can only presume that it's either because he's either bitten too much of his tyres up already, possibly a couple of slides or something, which I must say I haven't seen, or he just or it was strategical. I mean, well, who knows? We'll have to ask him after the race. But anyway, gap for the leaders come out again. So obviously this is one of the sit back and bide your time laps from Bastian Paisler. Seems to attack one lap and sit back the next. Just adds a bit of unpredictability to the battle. Makes Schroten always keep on his toes, never knowing quite when Paisler will launch the move. And of course that can heighten a driver's senses, and it really can, but it can also force drivers to make mistakes. So Paisler will just be holding back and waiting for Schroten to make a mistake if he does. Not that we've seen many mistakes from Schroten so far in this race. Couple of twitchy moments, but everyone gets that sometimes. Oh, actually, VBM in the YouTube chat now brings up a very good point that the pit stop from Menno Klont might well have been an in-game penalty for corner cutting or something like that. Normally, drivers just slow right off if they cut a corner, and then they ask the race director whether they can have their in-game penalty removed. I mean, I know that's definitely in place for the GPVWC ITC. I'm pretty sure you can do that in the Formula Challenge as well. Very difficult to type and drive at the same time, but when you've got a straight as long as this one, it's definitely possible. Matthew Klipp and Matthias Dabrowski just went side by side further down the order. That's for 12th position, and Matthias Dabrowski gets the better of that battle for now. And Bastian Paisler is on one of his attacking laps because he's drawn the gap to less than half a second now. And will he be able to challenge down into turn 11? I don't think he'll be close enough. So the move probably not coming this time round from Bastian Paisler, as it hasn't yet in this race. Couple of moves going on further down the order as well. I think Maciej Winnick just managed to make his way up into 17th past Ryan Nash. Also, who's that side by side? That will be Paul Joseph and Menno Klont. So Joseph actually getting past Menno Klont there. Oh, bit of a kick of oversteer on the exit though, as Menno Klont almost loses it as well. Klont has actually been dropping back slightly since his trip through the pits, whatever that trip through the pits happened to be for, and he's now dropped behind Matthias Ziebinski as well. So Klont down to 10th position now. Was running as high as 5th earlier in this race, I believe, so that's surprising. Oh, contact Winnick! Winnick gets involved with Metcalf, so Metcalf and Winnick tangle for 16th position, but Winnick does indeed get ahead there. That was very, very close. Oh, Jeffrey 47 in the chat types something very interesting here. He says he saw him, I presume he means Menno Klont, cutting a sector 3 chicane, avoiding Winnick spinning. So, I mean, I'm surprised. Surely you can ask for the in-game race director to remove your drive-through. I mean, you can in other series, but yeah, whatever the case, Klont has been through the pits, and that's cost him many positions. Initially only cost him 1 or 2 that I saw, but he's down into 10th position now, so not the ideal race that Klont will be looking for. Now look at Paisler. Paisler has got very close. In fact, he's got much closer than he has before. Looks to the inside, but Schroeton is just that much later on the brakes. Possibly too late on the brakes, actually, because he locks up down into the chicane. And will Paisler be able to challenge later on in this sector? He'll have the better momentum, definitely, due to that lockup from Roy Schroeton. That's the closest I've seen. Oh, another lockup from Schroeton there down into turn 17. That's the closest I've seen their sector times indicated there. Just 0.173 separating the two of them as they came through the sector 2. The sector 2 time there. That's actually quite difficult to say with a block nose like the one I've got at the moment, but anyway, on to lap 12 out of 14, and the gap is half a second. This is the sort of tense race that I enjoy, when you have one driver sitting behind another and you never know when he's going to attack. And he leaves it right till the end of the race. If he attacks at all, that is. I mean, he attacked on the last lap, of course. Nothing came of it. But he might not get that many more chances. We'll see what he can do in the remainder of this race. Paisler's highest position in the championship at the moment was... Oh, I had it up a second ago, but now the page has crashed, so I need to get that back up again. But it's certainly... I don't think he's won one yet. So, Bastian Paisler going for what I'm pretty sure is his first win of the of the season. I have a sheet around here that tells me that. Someone's moved my information sheet. Oh, it's up here now. What does it say? Oh, that's a completely different information sheet. Never mind. Right, well, I'm just going to have to wait for my page to load, but whatever the case, he certainly hasn't had many highly placed results this year, so this is going to be very important for him in Championship and in terms of actual, well, bragging rights, I suppose. We're just going to enter the penultimate lap of the race now, so we're very, very close to the end. And the order is still Schroten, Peisler, Gomez, Marquardt, Lindbergh. 2 weighty F1 cars running very well. And I've probably just put the commentator's curse on them. I very much hope not. Butcher, Yunt, Ziobinski, Joseph. Paul Joseph! Wow, up into 9th place. And Menno Klont in 10th. So those are the top 10. If we're going for the entire point scoring field so far, Matthias Dabrowski is in 11th, followed by Daniele Brambilla, Matthew Klipp, Bruno Sousa Ferreira, and Terence Gresh. Now, I'm pretty sure that my page is not going to load for some reason. It is very much deciding not to cooperate, so I can't really bring you that stat now. Matthias Dabrowski just past Menno Klont for 11th. It's getting close for the lead again. In fact, Peisler was right in the slipstream there, and they're actually going to go side by side down into the chicane. Oh, there was slight contact as Peisler's front touched Schroten's rear, and Peisler's going to get the better run out of that chicane. What will he be able to do through turn 10 and down into 11 and 12? He's going to pull to the outside again. Schroten does a very good job of defending the inside line. They're coming up on Eric Stanford as well. Oh, they bang wheels! And Schroten's going to look up! Schroten drifted the car through turn 11 there. Did a very good job to hold it, and he's held the lead as well. Oh my goodness, the last sector time indicated was less than 100th of a second in terms of the split. So this is actually the final lap of the race. My order hadn't caught up yet, so they just went side by side for the lead on the final lap of the race, and that might well be Bastian Peisler's final chance. It will be, in fact, because they're coming around the final 2 corners now. No more big braking zones, no more big slipstream points. Out of the final corner comes Roy Schroten, and he is going to win here in Abu Dhabi. There he goes, Bastian Peisler second, Gomez third. Schroten held off some immense pressure in that race. Matthew Marquardt is going to finish 4th, followed by Johan Lindbergh in 5th. Great result from the YTF1 guys. Chris Butcher and David Yunt are battling for 6th. Butcher is going to have that. Certainly has it for the moment, and he will come through the final corner in a second. Indeed, here we go, and they almost cross the line in formation there to the Red Arrows cars. Chris Butcher and David Yunt. Matthias Ziobinski is 8th. Paul Joseph was 9th, followed by Matthias Dabrowski. Menno Klont, who lost another place there at the end. Daniele Brambilla, Matt Klipp, Bruno Sousa Ferreira, Terence Gresh, who is going to cross the line in 15th position in his pursuit for 6th in the championship in his last weekend in the Formula Challenge. I should point out. So we're all very sad to see him go, but Terence Gresh is retiring from the GPVWC Formula Challenge at the end of the season. Maciej Winnick is 16th after a disappointing race, and that means he will not beat the points record of James Johnson. He's lost his chance, I'm afraid, with that incident in race 1 here, but still an incredible season from Maciej Winnick so far, and still 1 race to go, of course. Brett Metcalf was 17th, followed by Tomio Cabra in 18th. Ryan Nash 19th, followed by Mark Breslin. Thomas Andrea Maharasur is going to round the final corner to come home 21st, and across the line he goes now. And then it was Fabian Ruder and Eric Stanford, who still hasn't quite finished yet. He will finish very shortly. And the non-finishers in this race were Patrick Gerber, Roy Vigil, Simon Frelick, Lucas Zimmerman, and Conrad Barr, who went for a very impressive flip over the barriers at the start of this race. It's the kind of flip you only really would not I mean, you wouldn't want to do it in real life. Not that you want to do it in sim racing, but in real life it would be very serious. So thank goodness that drivers in simulators are not likely to pick up any injuries. Then again, I'd probably manage to find a way to do that. But anyway. So a fantastic in terms of excitement. Race 1, not the cleanest, with 5 retirements, and as Matthew Allington pointed out earlier, a lot of flips. Just reading some of the, I don't know what I'm saying. A couple. I kind of tried to cross couple and some, and it really didn't work. Sorry about that. A couple of the YouTube. The YouTube comments. Matthew Allington types, good job by top 2. And actually, good job to your team as well, Matt Allington. YTF1 having actual non-bad luck today with Matthew Marquardt in 4th and Johan Lindberg in 5th. Top 5 positions. I mean, you must be very pleased with that, certainly. Anyway, still 1 race to go, so don't go anywhere. This race weekend is certainly not over yet. I'm just going to check for other messages. Looks like I'm up to date for now. So we're going to go for a quick break before race 2. So that was a very entertaining one. I hope race 2 will be just as good. See you then.
Attention, road will all not.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. The warm-up session is coming to a dead close. A couple of drivers doing practice starts on the grid, and we are just about to get underway for the second race of the day and the final race of the championship. So, to be honest, this is the championship that got me into commentary. I am very sad to see it go for the year. Of course, we'll be back next year as it always is, but. Yeah, last race of the season. Always an emotional one for the drivers, the spectators, and the commentator who has to talk about it. So, well, we'll see what happens. Interesting stat that I've just been talking to Matthew Wellington about in the YouTube chat. Actually, is that this race will mark the record for the longest career with a certain team in Formula Challenge, if that makes sense. And that'll be Johan Lindberg with YTF1. And this will be his 93rd race in Formula Challenge with YTF1. So amazing, and congratulations for that. I probably wouldn't be able to put up with a team boss for that long, but never mind. Nothing against Matthew Wellington. Apparently, also the most experienced Formula Challenge driver of all time was Hansko Mebius, who drove for YTF1 last year. Anyway, we're just moving to the race in a moment. The grid position that's been picked for this reverse grid draw is 13, meaning that Matthew Klipp will be on pole for race 2, followed by Daniele Brambilla, Menno Klont, who has a lot to prove after race 1, I must say, Matthias Dabrowski, Paul Joseph in 5th, David Junt, Chris Butcher, Johan Lindberg, Matthew Marquardt, Pedro Gomez, Bastian Paisler, Roy Schroten, who is our race 1 winner. I thought it said 13. We appear to have lost a driver. Yeah, we lost 2 drivers because the order's only 26 cars strong. So 2 drivers missing from this. One of them is no, it isn't. Never mind. I don't know who's missing. But anyway, after Roy Schroten in 12th, we have Bruno Cesar Ferreira, Terence Gresh, Maciej Winnick, our champion, Brett Metcalf, Tomio Cabra. Or Cabra, one of the two. Ryan Nash, Mark Breslin, Thomas Andrea Mahara, Fabian Ruder, Eric Stanford, Roy Vigil, Lucas Zimmerman, Konrad Barr, and Matthias Ziabinski. Now, we appear to have gone into another warm-up session, and I'm not entirely sure why that's happened, because we just finished a warm-up session. Are there 2? Surely not. Okay, well, I'll update you with what's going on there. Again, to everyone in the YouTube chat, enjoy the second race. We've got Matthew Wellington, of course, Godona, David Francic, who also said enjoy the second race. So yeah, you as well, David Francic. Suciel, who indeed says great work so far, David. And indeed, I know David can hear me now, but yeah, always nice to have your camera work to this stream. Of course, commentary doesn't mean a lot without the cameras, so season long, even when I wasn't the commentator, fantastic work. Wow. YTF1's 152nd Formula Challenge race this is, actually. I forgot to mention that at the last round, at the Brazilian Formula Challenge round, but they did indeed enter their 150th Formula Challenge race. So that's quite a number. And I must say, congratulations to Matt Allington for putting up with this series for that long. That's a joke. Oh, and indeed, there isn't another warm-up session. The drivers are on the field now. So away from the starting order go the first few cars: Matt Klipp, Daniele Brambilla, Menno Klont, Matthias Dabrowski, Paul Joseph, Matthias Zibinski, David Junt, Chris Butcher, Johan Lindberg, Matthew Marquardt, Pedro Gomez, Bastian Paisler, Roy Schroeter, our race 1 winner. Ah, we do have 13 cars. Okay, well, someone's returned. Who didn't I say before? It was one of the YTF1 cars, wasn't it? Never mind. Okay, Bruno Sousa Ferreira in 14th, followed by Terence Gresh, Macho Winnick, Brett Metcalf, Tomio Cabra, Ryan Nash, Mark Breslin, Thomas Andrea Maharasert, Fabian Ruder, Eric Stanford, Roy Vazil, Lucas Zimmerman, again starting from the pits. So that's 2 races in a row that we won't see him on the original grid, and Conrad Butt. But we are still missing 2 cars. There are still 2 cars missing from the order. CCL types in the YouTube stream. Bastian Paisler just told me he went out of the slipstream to try to confuse Roy. So he was getting in Roy Schroeter's mirrors, and that is a tactic I've seen a few times. I wasn't expecting to see it quite to that extent, but yeah, I can see what you're talking about now. Unusual. Most people tend to go for the straight and direct attack, but I'm up for unusual driving styles here. I mean, I would call myself quite an unusual driver in terms of my driving style. So yeah, that's fine. A couple more stats coming in the chat. Actually, this is great to see. Keep coming them in, putting them in rather. We've YTF1 pales in comparison to Nordschuren, who notched up their 260th SL race in Mexico this year. That's another stat I forgot to say. That was because I did Super Cup in Mexico. And Multiforce have 194 Super Cup races under their belt as well. So definitely some teams who have been around here for a very long time, YTF1 being one of them. Of course, the other 2 teams mentioned aren't in the Formula Challenge here, but anyway, onto the grid we go. Matt Klipp lining up in the number 1 box. Always feels good, even if you didn't get there through a qualifying session. And Daniele Brambilla actually poised very aggressively there. And actually, Menno Klont, look at that, pointing right the way across. They want to get right across to defend their position straight away. Now, the back of the grid will be taken up by Conrad Butt, who we saw having a spectacular accident at the start of the last race. He is in place now. And we're waiting for the lights, which will start to come on in a second. Actually, why aren't they coming on? Very long wait here, very long hold. Where are the lights? Who's not in position? Oh, here they come. Right, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're off. We're off indeed. So Matt Klipp gets a very good start from Menno Klont. He's going to lead the race. Menno Klont side by side with Daniele Brambilla down into turn 1. No, indeed. He's getting very sandwiched in the midfield. Up the front there as Klont gets battered and bruised. And it's going to be Brambilla who leads from Dabrowski and Klont. There's a crash further back. Oh, Fabian Ruder's involved. Ruder, Stanford, Kerber, Metcalf. I don't see any big names of... Oh, Pedro Gomez has been involved. He was one of the big names in qualifying. So a couple of guys going off there further down the order. But anyway, it's Brambilla leading this race from Dabrowski, Klont, Zibinski, Joseph, Butcher, Lindberg, Klipp, Marquardt and Junt. But will Dabrowski be able to get past Brambilla here down into the turn 7 and 8 chicane? This is sometimes what we see on the opening lap of the race. Brambilla's going defensive, but Dabrowski's going to the inside. And will this be the lead for Dabrowski? It will indeed be. So, a good late lunge from Matthias Dabrowski. He gets clipped. Dabrowski, while fighting for the lead of the race, gets clipped in the rear by Daniele Brambilla, who also... Oh, he's slowing for him. That's very gentlemanly from Brambilla, who knows he was at fault there. But that is such a shame from the 2 leaders there. And now it's the 2 Stacks racing cars leading. Menno Klont and Matthias Zibinski. Fantastic for that team. They did rather have it handed to them on a plate, but it was still a fantastic start from Menno Klont. It looked like he was going to lose it in the opening few corners, but he didn't, and now he's leading this race. So Klont leading it. Very, very unfortunate for Dabrowski and Brambilla. Anyway, as we head round onto the start-finish straight at the end of this, the first lap of the race, it's not that close for the lead anymore. Coming out to about a second, and then it's Butcher. Paul Joseph, who's actually made up a place with all of the incidents happening at the start. Matthew Clipp, our pole sitter, who didn't actually get a good start, got a bit swamped in the first few corners. And then it's Matthew Marquardt, who's getting a very good run on him here actually. And Marquardt is going to go not to the inside there. Oh, but Clips outbraked himself down into the chicane, gets a bad exit there. And as they head down into the hairpin, Marquardt's going to try to get the switch back on the exit, but Paul Joseph and Matt Clip cover it well. Although Joseph gets a bad run out of that corner, actually. So Joseph is currently in 4th, but how long's that going to stick for? They're going 3 wide there for 4th position. Clip, Marquardt, and Joseph. And it's Clip on the inside, Marquardt in the middle, and Marquardt actually gets ahead before the corner. So it's Marquardt. Oh, it's completely changed. It's Marquardt, Clip, Joseph, the complete opposite way round. Marquardt gets a very big twitch on the exit of the corner, as does Bruno Sousa Ferreira, who tips Roy Vazil into a spin. Vazil, of course, going for 6th in the championship, having rotten luck this weekend, gets tipped into spin, gets a brilliant recovery, but Sousa Ferreira loses his front wing and all of that, so a little bit of a sort out there, but unfortunate, definitely, and Sousa Ferreira is definitely going to lose his points position. Now he realises that he doesn't have a front wing as he cuts straight across the chicane and loses out to Lucas Zimmermann. Whew, that was a tough start to the race. Anyway, so Marquardt and Clip still battling for 4th. That battle for 4th is probably going to go on for a while as Marquardt runs out and back on again, very wide through turn 18 there. And David Yunt is getting a run on Paul Joseph there as well. Looked like he was going to have a look to the outside of turn 20, but wasn't quite close enough there. Now, who's going to challenge down into turn 1? It's going to be Yunt and Joseph side by side for 6th position. Joseph to the inside. Yunt sweeps around the outside, and that's a good move from David Yunt up into 6th position in the race. Maciej Młynek tucking right in behind them as well. He's made up 6 positions up into 8th place, as we expected that he would do on this 3rd lap of the race, as they all bunch up into the chicane. Schroten having to look to the outside of Maciej Młynek, but not being able to attack yet. Klont and Zubinski getting away from Chris Butcher a bit here, and actually Butcher himself getting a long way ahead of Marquardt. So the front 3 have really started to pull away from the rest of the order. And look at Schroten to the inside of Młynek, actually tags him in the rear, and Peisler, Breslin, and Vazil are all battling for 10th as well. I haven't yet worked out what positions the drivers, the 2 Bluvos Motorsport cars would need for 6th in the championship, because my website's been down for some reason. But certainly that's heating up as, oh, big kick of oversteer from Brazil, and he's lost a lot of places there, down into 14th position, almost a half spin there from Roy Vazil, and that is going to cost him some places. That's not what he wanted to be doing, especially this early on in the race when the cars are also bunched up, and that is disappointing for Roy Vazil. Going for 6th in the championship. Huge crash. Oh, Mark Breslin is upside down on the very hazardous turn 19 that we've seen catch out a few drivers today. Who else was involved? I don't see anyone else with damage. Oh, I do. Mateusz Dabrowski's out of this race. Of course, Dabrowski led the race early on until he was tipped into a spin by Daniele Brambilla. And that's such a shame for Mateusz Dabrowski. I didn't entirely see what happened in that accident, but it was certainly a rather large one. I'm just going to rewind the live stream to see if I can see what happened. Oh, Mark Breslin just misjudged it, went into the outside barrier, and that is very unfortunate. So, especially for Mateusz Dabrowski, who is now out of who is now out of the race. More stats coming in the chat from Matthew Allington, but we'll have to review those later because Maciej Młynek is alongside Paul Joseph. Demotes him rather quickly. Oh, big contact! And oh dear, and Bastian Peisler's caught out in that as well as Paul Joseph spins around. It looks like Schroten and Joseph just came together through the second corner of that chicane. Schroten possibly didn't leave Joseph quite enough room. Judge it how you want to. I'm not the race director. And Joseph now loses another place to Thomas Andrea Maharasoa for 11th. So Joseph, unfortunately, getting battered around like a pea in a pod so far this race, unfortunately, as Roy Vazil runs very wide and loses a place to Thomas Andrea Maharasoa now as Lucas Zimmermann gets past Paul Joseph. This all looks like it's going to change again very soon. I can't imagine this little gaggle of cars staying similarly paced. We have 3 retirements from this race so far. Matthias Dabrowski, Thomas Kebra and Johan Lindberg, who is, of course, the 5th place finisher from race 1 in this event. So, unfortunate for Lindberg. And he's actually in the YouTube chat now, but I'll check what he's saying later because I haven't had a chance to look down yet. Roy Vazil, Lucas Zimmermann and Paul Joseph still battling over that 11th position. And Butcher and Ziabinski are getting very close for 2nd as well. So Butcher getting right onto the rear end of that battle, but he kicks it over. Oh, has a bit of oversteer out of the hairpin there, and unfortunately that's going to put him just out of slipstreaming range, or certainly further away than he would have otherwise been. And that's unfortunate for Chris Butcher because he looked like he was going to attack there. And now the top 3 have become more spread out than they were before, but lucky to hold that, actually. Or, well, very skilled save it was from Chris Butcher. I probably would have spun off at that point. Then again, I'm really not very good in a single-seater. As we head down towards turn 11, 12 and 13, the 3rd chicane we encounter on the track. Slight cutting of the corner from Chris Butcher. Hopefully the race steward won't have minded there. I mean, wasn't dramatic. Now, I'm probably jinxing everything, but it looks like it's calmed down a bit, so I'm going to look down at the stats, the comments for a bit. Matthew Allington types more stats, despite only having 3 years in Formula Challenge. But Scuderia Basilia, have scored the most points of any FC team ever. Amazing. Great sportsmanship by Brembele, it has to be said. Yep, absolutely right, Jeffrey. Waiting for Dabrowski after he tipped him off the road. Definitely great sportsmanship. I've seen that a few times in sim racing. It's something I admire when I see. I see normal luck has returned for Lindberg, says Matt Allington, after Lindberg retired. Unfortunate, very unfortunate for your team and your driver. Jeffrey types, I love the way that Francic's doing the cameras, TV cam, onboard, static cam, etc. Again, yeah, very good camera work from David Francic. I'm watching it alongside the live footage as well. Talking of the live footage, it's getting rather close for the lead. I don't know if that's going to change this time round. It doesn't quite look like it will. No, they're not anywhere near close enough. Although Clip and Winnick definitely close enough for 6th place. Let's see if Winnick goes to the inside down into the chicane. Not quite. Anyway, back to the chat quickly so I can catch up with it again. What other ones should I read out? Is there any team orders at Stacks? Types Jeffrey. I was just wondering that actually. Yeah, I was just wondering that myself. We don't tend to see team orders in sim racing, but never mind. Anyway, back to the live action. The front two, the 2 Stacks cars getting very close. Just less than a half a second in it now. Very close to 0.4 of a second in it. 0.432 to be precise. I wonder if it was 0.43210. Never mind. As out of turn 1 we come, slight correction from Matthias Zubinski's car. Everyone does that, so won't cost him too much time. Possibly 100th of a second. Still, that'll all be erased anyway when he gets in the slipstream on the straight. Third place also closing up between Chris Butcher and Matthew Marquardt. These front 4 are definitely a lot closer to each other than they were before, possibly with the exception of second and third, who have come out a bit. As we head onto the back straight now, this is where the slipstream is going to come into play for the third place battle in particular. Marquardt's going to pull out to the inside. This is for the final spot on the podium, and he's going to get it. Absolutely textbook down into turn 8, and that is third position for Matthew Marquardt. But will Chris Butcher be able to get back at him through turn 10 and out towards turn 11? They're going to go side by side again with Butcher on the right-hand side as he sees it. But Marquardt is going to cover the line, and that's going to be third position, certainly, for Matthew Marquardt towards the end of this lap. So, as you see, slight tyre smoke from Marquardt through the turns 12 and 13 chicane there. Slight kick of oversteer from Chris Butcher. Again, everyone does that occasionally. Matthew Allington types, I know what I'm going to do with the livery next year. Big clover leaf all over the car. Yeah, I think YTF1 needs that, I'm afraid, after what I've seen from this season. Anyway, up the front of the order, Godona types that. Oh no, that's Jeffrey rather. Jeffrey types, focus on Matthew, as in Matthew Marquardt. He is on for a win, and indeed, Marquardt certainly seems to be charging. He's already got past Chris Butcher. Now he's got to chase down the top 2 in the order, the 2 Stax cars. With about half of the race completed now. My word, this flies. And talking of flying, Matthias Zubinski just set one of the fastest laps of the race in the last time round, and he is getting very, very close to the rear end of Menno Klont's car. Again, I don't know about team orders in this. In this, according to some people in the track, there has been a bit of hoo-ha with team orders. I presume not with this team. I don't know. We'll see. If they overtake, they overtake. If they don't, then they don't. We'll see. Anyway, down towards turns 11, 12, and 13. Still Klont from Zubinski, Marquardt, Butcher, Yunt, Clip, Winnick rather, as it's supposed to be pronounced. Schroten, Peisler, and Adrian Maharasur. Those are the top 10. Through the turns 15, 16, and 17. Which can almost be treated as one corner, really, despite the fact each of the apexes has a completely different personality. Titans as it goes, that section does, and that's always what makes it difficult. Of course, we saw Mark Breslin having a spin there in race 1. Mark Breslin, is he one of the drivers missing from this race? No, he's running in 22nd position, so Breslin in this one. We have lost 2 cars from the order. I'm still trying to work out who they are, but I don't know. As we head down towards turn 1 again, they closed up again. I tell you what, the front 3 did almost less than 4/10 of a second in it that time round for the lead of the race. Getting very, very close. Very, very close indeed. I'm wondering what's going to... Oh, Pedro Gomez is out. Gomez, of course, who we saw finishing 3rd in race 1. So that's a podium finishing car who is out of the race. And I didn't see how that happened, but we've lost a big car from this order. Anyway, as we head on to the back straight, let's see who can challenge who. The top 3 are separated by less than a second here, but no one challenges. No one's quite close enough down into turn 8. But remember, there's a second straight to this sequence of straights. Let's see what happens on this second part. It's almost like the Mulsanne, really, but with only one chicane in the middle. Oh, Marquardt getting right under the rear end of Matthias Ziebinski. Goes to the outside, tries to get the switch back. There's contact. Slight contact as Marquardt almost lifts up the rear end of Matthias Ziebinski's car. Luckily, that didn't unsettle him so much as to cause a spin. Oh, talking of spins, Matthew Marquardt got very, very wiggly there. As Klipp and Peisler are side by side for 7th. Klipp's going to get that. Schroeter might well go for 8th here, and indeed he does get that. Sorry to be jumping around a bit, I just don't know where to look. Leaders less than half a second apart, as they have been for laps. My goodness. Right, that's fair. I think that's probably about to update. They seem to... Oh, as Marquardt locks up and actually goes off and over the white line there, around turn 20. And out onto the start and finish straight. Again, actually, Menno Klont used all of that battling behind him to very good advantage. Pulls the lead out to over a second now. And this would be a very good result for Menno Klont, of course, with a win. Again, I'm not trying to put the commentator's curse on him. I've done that a couple of times, but anyway. Right, down the back straight. Closest battle now is that one for second, as we saw last lap. That's the one that really started to kick off and almost changed. Didn't change, but almost changed. Not going to change this time around, though. They've just kind of spread out for a lap. Hopefully that's only for a lap, though, because I do enjoy seeing racing. I'm not biased towards anyone or any team. I'm not rooting for anyone, but I just want to see a race, really. About half a second between second and third now. About 0.8 of a second between first and second. Gap for third and fourth has come out a bit, so Butcher just biding his time there in fourth, waiting for a mistake if it comes. Matthew Klipp's cutting the turns 12 and 13 chicane. He's been passed now by Roy Schroeter, and Bastian Peisler is battling with him as well, going for 8th. Possibly not going to get it this time around, but he's certainly looking feisty. And I believe that's the closest battle up the front of the order now. For 7th position, Schroeter actually clearing off slightly, so it's mainly for 8th, with Klipp and Peisler. As Peisler runs out and over the curbs at turn 20, uses a bit more of the track than maybe he should do at turn 21 as well. And Roy Vigil, I believe, has just passed Thomas Andrea Maharaser, so that's changed down towards turn 21. Oh, as Vigil gets a bit of a kick of oversteer and goes off as well. Andrea Maharaser might challenge again. No, he's not going to be close enough that time round, of course. And second place is closing up again. It's now less than half a second apart, and of course, half a second is what they call the attack point. If you're less than half a second behind the car ahead, you really need to attack then. That's when you have the proper slipstream. That's when you attack. Although he's not quite close enough as we head down the back straight quite this time. On the exit though, Ziebinski gets over the curb, in fact, and that's going to give him a bad run out of that corner. Matthew Marquardt's going to get right in the slipstream, pulls out towards turn 12 to the outside. Oh, he actually braked later initially, but Ziebinski just manages to keep the inside for the corner, and towards turn 15 they head now. It is Matthias Ziebinski who keeps second place there, but it was certainly very close. My timing, my position and gap indicator is showing 0.0007 of a sec, 007, not 0007, 7 thousandths of a second of a gap between the second and third place cars through that sector there. That would have been when they were side by side. More of a gap now, as Marquardt is actually dropping back towards Chris Butcher a bit here. Oh, he's going off. Marquardt runs very wide on the exit, and he's going to come back on side by side with Chris Butcher. Now, that's not what he wanted in his charge for the win here, to lose a place. course, he gained the place on Chris Butcher earlier, but Butcher might well come back at him now as they head through turns 2 and 3. Butcher's getting a very good run on him. He's going to get the slingshot down towards the turns 5 and 6 chicane, but he's not quite going to be close enough to launch it to the inside. It's not really an overtaking chicane unless it's the first lap. As out of the turn 7 hairpin we head, this is where the slipstreaming is going to occur. Marcard already going defensive, tucks to the inside, just trying to break the toe early. Of course, you're only allowed one move defence, so that's it for him for now. But Butcher not quite able to get close enough. As Matthew Allington types, this is indeed a fabulous defence. As Matthew Marcard tucks to the inside again. He does not want Chris Butcher to get the ideal line through any of these corners. As Eric Stanford is now in the pits, so something has happened there. Marcard again kicking it out over the curb. The rear end just stepping out away from him slightly. Sometimes that's all the driver behind you needs to just get that slight advantage, that slight advantage in momentum, and sometimes that can be the difference between a win or a loss. As Maciej Winnick now makes up another position past David Yunt for 5th, so Winnick up into 5th position now. As we head on to the penultimate lap of the race, the order is Klont, Ziebinski, Marcard, Butcher, Winnick, Yunt, Schroten, Peisler, Klipp, Andrea Maharasoa, Roy Vigil, Lucas Zimmermann, Paul Joseph, Terence Gresh, and Fabian Ruder. Those are the point scoring positions, with Bruno Suso Ferreira the next car out of the points. Oh, contact between Ryan Nash and Eric Stanford heading down. Oh, where is that? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, that's down towards turn 8 and 9. Those two have just come together. Of course, they weren't running for a points scoring position, but still, that's not what you want to see anywhere in the order. Cars coming together. At the front of the field, everyone appears to have spread out slightly, so that they might only get one more chance for that, of course. This is the penultimate lap of the race, so there's only going to be one more lap to actually attack at all. I just saw the replay of the Nash and Metcalf, Nash and Stanford rather, incident down into down into turn 8. It looked just like Stanford went a bit more defensive than Nash was expecting, and Nash just misjudged it. I'd call that a racing incident, really, but again, I'm not the race steward, so. Now, as we head through the final sector of the course, we're only going to have one more lap after this one, and still the gap for the lead is less than a second. Now, oh, but it's come right down. Klont made a mistake, so Klont made a mistake out of turn 19 there. Ashley backs his teammate up a little bit, and this might all kick off on the final lap here. What drama and what absolute cracking timing for something like this to happen in terms of the actual spectacle of the race. Looking at the live stream, actually, nothing did happen in terms of mistakes from Klont. It looked just like Ziebinski was notably quicker through that sector, as Matthew Marcard now getting right up close to Mateusz Ziebinski. It should also be noticed that Maciej Winnick is really catching up to this group as well, so it might turn into a 5-car chain soon as they head out towards the back straight. This is the last chance that a lot of people will get, as Butcher now goes defensive slightly. And who is going to attack? Is I thought Ziebinski was attacking, but it looks more like he's defending from Marcard. It's attack and defend at the same time, really, from Mateusz Ziebinski there, and nothing really happens in terms of order changes, but we still have another little or long straight to go here. Who's going to get the run down towards turn 12? It's going to be Matthias Ziebinski. Is he going to pop to the inside? Not there. And Winnick and Butcher rather are side by side for 4th. Butcher is going to keep that for now. Keep watching the front of the order though, as Klont and Ziebinski and Marcard in fact are all separated by just 0.6 of a second. This is all going to come right down to the wire as Butcher and Winnick are going to go side by side around the triple apex right-hander. And Winnick is going to go to the outside there, but nothing is going to work through there. Now this is the corner where Klont struggled over the last couple of laps. But Ziebinski not able to mount an attack as we... Oh, but Marcard challenging for second. Look at this. This is for second in the final corner of the race. And that very nearly changed there as Menno Klont wins it. Amazing. Ziebinski second, Marcard third. Then it's Butcher, Winnick, Junt, Schroten, Klipp and Peisler. That was a brilliant defence from Menno Klont, Matthias Ziebinski, Matthew Marcard, the lot of them. Klipp, Peisler, 8th and 9th. Then it's Thomas Andrew Amahara running it out over turn 21, followed by Roy Vasil. Then it's Lucas Zimmerman coming around the final corner now. Unbelievable end to that race. Paul Joseph is going to come round in 13th position. And he is going to cross the line there. Terence Gresh, 14th. And I believe that seals 6th in the championship for Terence Gresh, but I'll have to check that. Fabian Ruder is going to come round in 15th position and his first Formula Challenge point. So, round of applause there for Fabian Ruder. The 15-year-old, I should point out. He's younger than... Or he's half the age of some of these other drivers, remember? So that's very impressive. Bruno Souza Ferrer is going to round the final sector in 16th. If he can hold off Daniele Brambilla, of course, who led the race early on until that incident with Matthias Dabrowski. And oh, more contact as Brambilla tried to lunge at the last moment and just got underneath Ferreira's rear tyres. Now it's going to be a real drag race to the finish here, but it's going to be Souza Ferreira who keeps that. So the rightful finishing order is maintained with Breslin 18th. Brett Metcalf is going to come round in 19th position, followed by Eric Stanford. Back to the YouTube comments, there's a lot of celebrating from Jeffrey and Godonna. Of course, a fantastic drive from the team Stax, or the Stax racing team, which they both, I believe, are supporters of. Godonna said he couldn't breathe for the last 2 laps. Neither could I. Did you hear my voice at the end there? That was absolutely straining. I mean, I often say with this series, it's going to make me completely voiceless by the time I'm 30. I mean, this is ridiculous. Fabian Ruder celebrating in the chat as well. Brilliant performance from Fabian there with a 15th position. 1 point at about half the age of some of the other drivers. That's, I mean, well done there. Had a disappointing race 1, but obviously very excited with his race 2 result. Oh my goodness, that's that was a fantastic season finale. You couldn't really have asked for more than that. With, oh my goodness, and celebratory donuts now for Menno Klont at the end of a fantastic season of Formula Challenge racing, GPVWC. Unbelievable. Yeah, an absolutely unbelievable finish. Look at these donuts. Or not quite donuts, but kind of... Yeah, now he's doing donuts. Now he celebrates Menno Klont on the start-finish straight. Fantastic from Menno Klont. I believe that was his first win in the GPVWC. I'm just going to double-check that. No, he won in Hungary as well, so not quite his first win of the season, but absolutely top job there from Menno Klont. And what a season of racing that was. I enjoyed it. I wasn't even here from the start to finish, but I enjoyed it from the start to finish of the time I was I was here for. which has only been the last few rounds, but they have been absolutely brilliant. And what a fairy tale end to this season, with almost a move occurring in the final corner. Matthew Marquardt looking to the inside of Matthias Siabinski. It didn't quite work, but my goodness, I was really expecting something to happen there. That was unbelievable. Anyway, into the I'm struggling to speak, but I'm going to start the interviews very shortly. So, Roy Schroten, I'm going to drag in Roy Schroten first. He's waiting for one. Hello. Sorry if I dragged you out of something. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Good. This is Roy Schroten, who won race 1. So fantastic job there. And all series was second in the championship. So first, talk us through race 1, of course, because that was the race that you won.
Yeah, thank you. I had a great qualifying, which placed me on pole position for the race. And then I just had a better start than Bastian, so I could stay ahead of him in the opening laps. And after that, it was just a constant battle with him. It was insane. He kept within 1 second for the whole race, and that in the dirty air that was around here. Especially in race 2, I noticed how bad it was actually. So, and how much quicker he must have been if he would have been able to pass me and not be in my dirty air. There would be no way for me to catch him back. But I just kept the door shut. That last lap was very exciting again. He wasn't that close during the whole race, but I managed to keep the door shut. It was a very rough battle. I'm one of the most tense battles that I've ever had in my career, especially here at GPV. A great try from Bastian. It's just amazing to see him with his pace, see him going through the year, constantly improving. But I'm still happy to win that final race in the final round.
Absolutely. And the championship as a whole, I mean, we only have limited time, of course, but I mean, second place in the championship, you must be really pleased with that.
Yeah, I am. Especially in GPV, it's the best end result that I've ever had and the best season that I've ever had here at GPV. So I'm very excited about that. I don't know where I'll be in the future because I don't know how much time I'll have to properly practice. I had this in the final stage of this season as well. But yeah, the season was just amazing. Mathieu was too quick for me in these cars and in this season. But I'm very happy with P2. I never expected to finish that high up at the start of the season, for sure.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Right.
Sorry. I just want to give a short shout out to Rink Hoekstra, my team boss. He was amazing with setups, and without him, I wouldn't have been here today.
Fantastic. Okay, we are now going to bring in our overall champion, Maciej Młynek. Maciej, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, of course, you went into this round with the championship already sealed. It was all about bragging rights in this one, of course. How did that actually feel? Was some of the pressure off, or?
I put pressure on myself for one more reason. I wanted to break James Johnson's record of points scored during the season. I needed to score 33 or more points, but unfortunately it didn't happen because in race 1 I made so many mistakes. I didn't deserve to be in top 5, top 10. And I also, Patrick, when he was spinning, he touched me in the rear and I went airborne, lost my rear wing, and yeah, that was my race 1 done. Fortunately, second race was much better. I touched with someone in turn 1. I went down in the field from 16th, and at the exit of sector 1, I was 40. So that's also pretty nice.
And I must say, your accident in race 1 was quite impressive. I've never seen a car carried for quite that long before. But anyway, and the season as a whole. I mean, I asked you this when you won your championship, but can you add to that now? I mean, it's been a fantastic season for you, obviously.
Yeah, it was fantastic season. I don't have much to say anything because it was good season. I scored championship with 2 rounds to go. So yeah, that's very good result. And now I hope that when I move up probably 99% to Super Cup, I will be also competitive, the same as in UFC this year.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for that, Maciej. Also, right, okay, next I'm going to bring in Menno Klont. He's been waiting for the longest. If that's just checking if that's okay with him, of course, so I don't just drag him in. I think I'm going to have to, just to save time. We've got many people waiting. Sorry if I just dragged you in from somewhere. Menno, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Congratulations. You sound so pleased with that. I mean, and you should be. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was indeed incredible. In testing last week and this week, I saw I had the pace to win or to be at the podium, because normally Maciej and Roy Schotten and some others are really lightning quick. But now I had an idea I could manage it, and even in quali I was 9th. But I looked at my sectors, and I believe both first and second sector were about as good as Roy Schotten, and the third sector was just really, really bad. So I had a big feeling that I could do something. So race 1 was just a bit of following, because I couldn't just not follow the top 4. And then I had a bit of a mistake, so I went in, and I hoped to get P10 because of reverse, because after that problem I had in race 1, I thought I might could have done something there, but I even was 11th, so I was a bit upset, because if top 10 was reversed, then I would be starting in 11th, and I was feeling really good here in Abu Dhabi. I really wanted to win. So race 2, I started from P3, so I was lucky with the reverse grid number. I had a very good start and a little bit touch of with my clip into turn 1, but it was unintentional for us both. It was just a little hit in the cars, went a bit of lost a bit of rear end grip. So in the end I could pass some cars and I was in the lead. I had really, really low wings, and the car was really good on the straights, but in sector 3 it was quite difficult to drive. And I was very lucky that I have my teammate Matthias Zubinski behind me, because he was my rear gunner. He defended off Marquardt, and I really need to say I think Zubinski was faster than me, but he helped me like he could. So I think I owe him this one. This victory is also a bit for Zubinski and for the whole team of Stags, who did an awesome job this season. So I'm really, really pleased and really tired.
Yeah, I can imagine. Certainly a great way to end the season with a 1-2 for your team, as you said. Matthias Zubinski doing a great job as well. I bet it was quite intimidating having quite so many quick drivers in your mirrors. Actually, there was about a chain of 5 at one point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was, and the last 2-3 laps, I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, I was really nervous, because then you have such a long straight. Then you start thinking, I can win another one. I won one earlier this season, but I wanted a second one, and I win another one. So the last 2 laps were really tense, and I needed to keep my focus, because I knew I could do it, but it was really difficult in the end. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Right. In next comes Chris Butcher. Chris, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I hope I didn't just drag you out of anything. But right, you had a very interesting weekend. There were certainly some ups and downs there. Can you highlight some of those for us?
Yeah, I've been struggling with the rear end of the car all weekend, and I didn't really have a chance for much testing on the run up to this. In fact, until last night, I thought I wasn't racing, to be honest. But yeah, qualifying was an absolute disaster. I think I got 1 lap in, and then I just kept dropping it. It was a bit amateur, really, from my point of view. And then the race was a bit strange. I benefited a lot from a lot of incidents. I didn't really particularly have any great pace, to be honest, and Unfortunately, I caught Roy out of the exit of turn 1. He seemed to slow down a little bit. I tagged the back end and spun him round, so apologies for that. But 6th place in the end after disastrous qualifying wasn't too bad in race 1.
Absolutely not. And you were certainly putting pressure on the top 3 at some point in race 2 as well. Were you sniffing a result there?
Yeah, I thought the win was on for a bit, to be honest with you. But then I had the same issue that I had in race 1 where I didn't really have high tyre wear, but for some reason I just, towards the end of the race, had a real problem with traction. But I discovered at the end of the race that I wasn't running any traction control. So that explains that one.
Yes, it does. Right. Okay, right. We have two interviews to go. We're having a mega broadcast tonight. We really are. Lucas Zimmerman being brought in now. Lucas, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello, mate.
Good. Haven't heard from you yet, actually. Did you manage points this weekend?
Yeah, P12 now in the 2nd race. 1st race, unfortunate, my disconnect. But yeah, quite some nice points. Season high finish.
Fantastic. Season high. That's well done for that. That's very good. We did see your unfortunate disconnection in race 1. I bet that was very
I was so frustrated.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So race two, you said you scored points. Talk us through that one. We saw you having quite a few good battles actually.
Yeah, it was quite nice. I started again from the pit because I saw in race 1 it was not much difference to the rest of the grid, and you could avoid turn 1. That's always because all season long I started normally, and I got like 5 places from the start because I could start quite nice, and then got crashed out in turn 1 or something. So I thought maybe in the last race I tried pit start, and yeah, after that I came out and like 4 cars right in front of me, and I thought, what the fuck is going on? Okay, that's gonna be fun. And then actually I had a little crash. Someone turned into my front, and I had luck that didn't spun me around. And after that, quite a nice battle with a couple of guys, and yeah, nice race. And I could manage to get in a rhythm, but sometimes I had a little struggle when someone behind came closer, and yeah, that was quite nice. And
Fantastic.
yeah, then at the end, P12, I'm really happy to end the season like that, and
Sorry.
That's no problem. Yeah.
Yes. So I should quickly apologise for some of the language. Adrenaline's definitely running high. Anyway, next we're going to, and finally, last but not least, in comes David Yunt. Hello.
Hello.
Right. So you've admitted yourself in the chat just now your season's had its ups and downs, as did the racing we just saw as well. Race 2 went well, didn't it? Talk us through the weekend in general.
Oh, well, yeah, we had our, well, I had my usual issues of finding grip because I felt like track didn't have a lot of it, and I, in an attempt to change something for the last round at least, I got a tip from somebody saying, hey, why don't you go back from like using very low steering rotation on the nervous car, maybe back ends all over the place, to change to set it back to maximum 900-degree rotation and then use like vehicle set, and then terminate like that. So you've got just like a curtain tailed to just the right angle, and I did that, and I think at least the rear end wasn't as snappy anymore, so I could at least apply throttle at the right moment without just guessing most of the time, even though I still felt like I never had the grip in practice as it would be in the race session, so it was still a bit of guesswork and the pace looked rather slow. So I'm qualifying my last run, my second loss wasn't bad either, but my last run with less fuel and with just determination and concentration was just enough. Just letting the car roll in turns and such was just enough to make a good lap, which was like I think 54 something, and it was just about enough to make the top 10. It was I think quite crucial to qualify ahead of the TR cars. And race 1 start went well, but I think a few laps in I made a mistake, turn 1, got the curb, dropped behind TR and my teammate, and then later on I saw a big crash ahead of us. I think I got tapped by somebody, spun myself, lost like 5 seconds, but at least the car wasn't damaged, which was very important, even though I had like problems and vibrations in the tires. But I managed to get close again, and as several cars retired or had damage, I still managed to get like a top 8 or 7, I think, just behind my teammate, and I had no intentions of overtaking since we're just absolutely right where we were. And in the second race, same. I tried the same careful approach. I was too careful, going to the right side because I saw a white F1, another car going in, and I was like hanging wide, giving space, and I was still wide at the second turn, and I could barely look over and see who's coming. And I was like, I had a Thunderdog right ahead of me, and I'm not sure if I tapped him, but he spun, and I was already worried that it's probably partly my reason, my contact with him. But I mean, I was giving way to trying to everyone to stay out of trouble and not bang wheels with somebody. So sorry about the contact, but I already tried my hardest not to spin anybody. Afterwards, well, same again. I think I saw some people spinning, some not, and I was just getting up to pace, and then actually was working quite well. I managed to get up to clip, pass him, and then stay long times in like P5, P6 until I made a mistake, which got Mache past me. So it was P6, and I think in the end that's where I finished. I think it was just like watching the people ahead of me, but not catching enough. I was actually a bit quicker, but not enough. So with the points taken, it's just been a considerably a good amount of points, which I think counting put us ahead of TR. Although I have to say, is a bit sorry how it ended in the end. I mean, we were like having a close battle, which is 6 points parting each other. But I think ahead of me, I didn't quite see it coming out of turn 1, but it looks like Roy Versal got on the curb, slowed down, and Chris couldn't avoid or go around him in time when he was losing, when the gap closed, and then there was a big contact I saw. But well, what we can do, we can just say sorry. We don't intend to something to happen like that, but in the end, it happens. I mean, we were on the other end at Interlaken, so we also had our up and downs. But at least this last event was better than expected after how problematic we went into it, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. As you say, these things do happen, and third in the championship as well. We shouldn't ignore the fact that you have had a very good year. Do you think, just quickly, because we haven't got much time?
Yes.
Do you think that you're happy with that, or did you expect the championship?
Nothing at all. To be honest, in short terms, I was not really going to actually race or something, like really with the mindset to go into it. But Downforce was like missing a driver, and I made some emergency rounds. Then they went considerably well. Then Red Arrow had a dropout. I got in driving for David, and well, I started thinking, as soon as I got in, I'll continue the season to the end because I had no other primary contracts or anything. And then I had my ups and downs. Valencia, no grip at all. Some incidents with cars because I couldn't find the grip. Red Bull, I think I forgot ABS on low, so that my front tires were dead. And then I had some really great races, especially in race 2, because I had the grip, like Spa, the win. But it was, as I said, up and downs. But thanks to being consistent and not pushing the issue when I felt I didn't have enough grip or I wasn't fast enough, I was just keeping up with other cars and other competitors just to score the vital points. I mean, that Spa win was probably the difference between me and Chris, who was absent for one race and then raced Super Cup for a bit. So that's why I got the gap to him and Menno, I'd say, for P3. And I was never really thinking about getting close to Mache and Roy because they were they showed incredible pace all year. So I was happy I mean, amazed just getting P3 and having these results. Everything else was my team surprising me or giving me a lot of time to smile.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. So that's the end of the very lengthy interviews. We had about 6. I think it was 6 interviews we had today. That's a new record, I can imagine. But yeah, thanks for watching this, and indeed the entire series. We had some great races today, as we did in this entire series of the GPVWC Formula Challenge. Again, I want to thank David Francic for the camera work and helping me get set up and so forth, as well as Chris Williamson, Elise Skinner, and everyone else who is involved in this championship. So again, thank you all for watching this one, and we will see you next season or tomorrow for the Super Cup. So see you then.